All right. In the data sheet, there are a list of all sales on different gym equipment. The 10 columns consisted of the following descriptions, which were country, region, state, zip code, city, sales date, department, item name, sales, profit, and I added another column that calculates the profit ratio. Okay, let's see. So what I did to start analyzing this data was I applied a set filter on each column and clicked on the different selections to see what kind of variety I had in each column. For example, I was able to set the filter to show me just the sales from the United States. Now, I did all of that in my Excel data sheet, so not on here. Let's see. Yeah, so I set a filter and I was able to see sales from just the United States, which obviously was the only country, and check out their numbers, as well as I was able to set the filter on specific items such as the Nordics and see how well they did compared to other products. I also filtered the years to see which year also performed best and found out that overall 2020 had better sales. And for an easy side-by-side comparison, I like to use the side-by-side bar graph. It makes it easy to quick scan and compare and see the obvious results. When it came further down to my specific sales by regions, I used the pack bubbles. Those allowed me to see easily what states had better sales, and the higher the profits, the bigger the bubbles, and vice versa for the smaller ones. Simple. I was able to filter out sales under $5 million and sales under $1 million. That way, it would be easy to decipher what states needed extra revenue to be generated and can use some ideas of the states that are making over the $5 million mark. In turn, it shall bring more revenue to the company. I like the idea of the pack bubbles because I'm familiar with them. Whenever I get into my crypto space, I use that to show. It helps me show the daily and weekly percentage changes. So anyway, using those different chart and graph options allowed me to tell a good story in analyzing gym equipment sales in 2 regions of the United States. So here go. Let's move on to my workbook sheets. So in this worksheet, it showed me the sales by product in the region. What I gained from this table is that a lot of sales performed better in 2020 rather than 2021. As you can see, 2020 is to the left of 2021. So every block for each item, the bar on the left is obviously higher than the bar on the right. So that shows me that 2020 did better sales than 2021. Another finding is that the Nordic items as a whole are underperforming and can overall increase profit margin if removed. I chose to do this side-by-side bar format because it allowed me to skim and read clear at the same time. This visual is meaningful because it would allow the stakeholders to see a whole glimpse of the company on one simple side-by-side bar chart and help make a generalized decision. All right, so let's move on to the profit map. So in this worksheet, it shows the sum of profits by the state. As you can see, the states in the East have higher profits than those in the South, the majority at least. What I did here was use a sunrise, sunset diverging effect just to kind of give off a blue is cool, so temperature is low, red is hot, so temperature is high type of vibe. The states with the blue tones are lower in sales compared to those of the yellow going into the red color scheme. The visualization is important because it kind of piggybacks on the previous worksheet. The brain is already familiar with red and blue, high and low association, so it makes it easy for owners and stakeholders to get the logic behind the colors. So we can see here, we can filter it out to just your eastern states. And if you tally those up, those numbers are obviously higher than those of just the South. And you can kind of play with your toggles, showing just the East and just the South. And yeah. Let's move on. So next, we're going to have a profit chart showing profits of under $5 million. We're gonna set this. We have this filter set to the eastern region. This sheet allows us to view what states in the East are making under $5 million. Though the region is making higher profits and sales, it's always about progression and moving up. The goal is to make this region the powerhouse for the company. How can we get the sales of the states doing under $1 million closer to the $5 million mark? For example, this model shows us that in the East, Maine is the state lacking most. So now we need to implement a plan to the items being sold to overall boost the profits of the Eastern region. I again used the cool to hot effect, but made it gold to red diverging. Red are the states with higher profits compared to those reflecting the gold honey tones. This is important to analyze because it will allow the better region in sales to remain on its pedestal and become a top competitor in the game globally. So if you just hover your mouse over the, obviously the smaller circle shows the lowest profit margin. And, the bigger circle, the redder the color, the more profit there is. So we need to find a way to make Maine compete with Rhode Island. That way it turns the whole Eastern into a better and bigger powerhouse. So let's move on. Next, we're going to have sales in the East by the year and the item. Let's go right here. Here we are. So in the worksheet, shows the sales in the East by the year and the item. This chart will show us really, this chart will allow us to really pinpoint the specific items and their performance. As we can see, the Nordic items, you can read the, the title of the items, the Nordics, they don't do too well. Nordic items and the rowing machines, there are, the lower performance of all the items. So as an analyst team, we now know what needs more output. How can we get more of these items in the community? Do we need to change our target audience? Do we need to cut down the inventory and deal with them less? These are all questions to answer to get towards the goal and creating more revenue. This visualization is important because it will allow us to make decisions on how we want our inventory. Again, I use the sunrise, sunset, diverging effect to stay consistent with the rest of the presentation. So again, we can go by region, look at the profits in the East, as well as just the South, or show all of them. And then we can filter out exactly what exercise items that we want to have. So if we go to just the Nordics, we can show the Nordics. Then we can compare it to other items and see that once you put another item on there, the Nordics severely drop off. Let's move forward. Where we at? Let's get to this dashboard. So here now is the dashboard showing the sales in the East compared to the items sold underneath. This capture allows us to see that we might need to add the items sold in this capture allows us to see that we might need to add the items sold in the high profit states to the states making low money. For example, you can see on the map that Maine is the lowest revenue state in the East. I can guarantee that if you set the filter to only just Maine, that state either doesn't have any or very few ellipticals over the 2 years, which are tallying the most sales. This shows me what state doesn't have specific inventories as a glimpse, and then can filter it down to get exact results. So we come here, the panes we have of the sales in the East, we can come down here and get back to that and click on, where's the state? Let's go to Maine. Let's filter out to Maine. Let's see, why is Maine so low compared to other states? So it shows that they have a lot of ellipticals, but you have to remember this is on a 2-year base. So we did say that 2020 did perform better than 2021. And obviously here they didn't have no sales in 2020 when it came to ellipticals, which is why they are doing so low on sales. So it's like basically 2 years and you only have 1 year worth of sales. You're missing half your revenue right there. So we got to figure something out. Let's move forward. Where we are. Okay. Okay, let's get to the story. Yeah, so on my story, I have all my sales by product in the East and the South. I have my sales map. I have my sales and profit by year in the East. I can toggle the stage. I can show both. All. I have Nordic sales by profit and by year. Again, you can play with your different toggles to see exactly what you're looking for. I have my items sold under $5 million. So these are all the states that sold under $5 million in profit. We need to find a way to get those items to the top. And here are items sold under $1 million. We got to figure out how to get those items under $1 million to under $5 million. And here is broken down in the year 2020. And here is broken down in the year 2021. And here are items that's in between the 1 million and 5 million mark. And the goal is to get these to 5 million. And the goal is to get the items under 1 million to surpass 1 million. And so in describing my story, it goes from broad to microscope, basically. It starts out with all sales by product with a map following the same sales in a different format. And next, it breaks down the state. It breaks down the sales by profit in the region. Sales profit by the region. So the Eastern region specifically, you can break down the sales of the Nordic products in the East region, or you can even compare it to the states in the South if you want. After that, we get to the nitty gritty. What states are making under $5 million in profit? Here we are right here. The next pane shows the larger pack bubbles are creating more revenue. The next pane breaks it down even further to the states making less than 1 million in profits. I did them for both years in 2020 and 2021. I finally showed the states with the item sales of profits over $1 million in the most recent year, 2021. This will allow us to get insights on their sales to compare it to the rest of the states generating less revenue so we can have a plan of action. And so that is the story. And in conclusion, again, at the beginning of this presentation, we were able to see a whole glimpse of the company on one simple side-by-side bar chart and to help make a generalized decision. And here that is right here. This model shows us that in the East, they are making big gains in the profit margins, but Maine is the state lacking most. So now we need to implement a plan to the items being sold to overall boost the profits of the Eastern region. As we can see, the Nordic items and the rowing machines aren't doing well. So as an analyst team, with the money we're making, I would cut down on the Nordic items and add more ellipticals in the room to increase profits tremendously. If we want to keep the ongoing purchasing of the Nordic products, we must change our customer base to the ones who are more interested in those items. We will go to local gyms to conduct surveys on what specific exercise equipment is preferred. Speaking of ellipticals, we need to add more in the state of Maine because they are really lacking when it comes to profits compared to those with ellipticals. Maine didn't sell any in the year 2021, which makes their margin a lot lower. Ellipticals seem to be the separating factor in a lot of our sales. Yeah, that's that. Okay, and so let's talk about Tableau. So Tableau is a powerful data visualization tool that allows me to analyze and present data in a meaningful way. Through my training and exercise, I have learned several skills that have helped me become proficient in using Tableau, such as data connection and preparation, creating calculated fields, and building interactive dashboards. I've also gained, a deep understanding of the different types of charts and graphs available in the Tableau and how to choose the most appropriate one for the data being presented. One obstacle I overcame while learning Tableau is understanding how to blend and join multiple data sources. This can be a complex process, especially when dealing with large and complex data sets. However, by practicing and experimenting with different techniques, I've developed a better understanding of how to effectively blend and join data in Tableau. Additionally, I have learned how to troubleshoot common errors that can occur when working with multiple data sources. Overall, I found Tableau to be a valuable tool for data analysts and visualization, and I look forward to continue to learn and expand my skills in this area.